everybody will drive, we'll approve the meeting.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda, any addition or change of the agenda?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, we need to put on the agenda to discuss when we put items on the agenda, which sounds a bit, contradictory perhaps, but we do need to set a time that, folks can come in and put items on the agenda, so we need to talk about that today, so if you'll add that to the agenda, we'll talk about that today. Okay, have I lost you yet?
Okay. I'd like to put, Mr. Steve Mason on the agenda right there, he got a contract to sign for the,
I'd like to add a discussion on the agriculture fair that's coming up at the end of the month. They have, some of the board members has asked us if we'd like to do anything for the 100 years of Sparta. Just to have a little discussion between the board, see if anybody want to do anything, put our signs up, anyone speak, anything of that nature.
okay, we'll put that,
And that can go with other business if it needs to. That's, I don't know if we vote on anything tonight, but.
we'll talk about the agenda. Where would we put that, Millie?
You can all go in there.
It can all go another business I hear over here from this end of the table. And this just, will take 2 minutes.
Sorry, adding all this stuff, it's hard to hold my, keep up with stuff. Okay. Need approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 6th.
Mike, we need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry. Need a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? 5-0, okay. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting of August 6th and the closed session meeting of August the 13th.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Got a second? All in favor? 5-0. Okay. At this point, right here, we'll have public comments on the agenda items only. Citizens are encouraged to comment at this time on the items specifically listed on the meeting agenda. The comment time is limited to about 3 minutes. So if anybody would like to comment on the agenda, it's your turn. Nobody wants to? Okay, we're gonna go on. Allegheny Chamber of Commerce, update, Larry Van Hoos. Larry, gonna take the stage?
I was kind of counting on some public comments there. I apologize that I haven't been here sooner to give this report. We operate a fiscal year, but it feels like our year is really like April to December. So I feel like I'm still right in the middle of it, with the Mountain Heritage Festival coming up and several other activities. But at the same time, I wanted to catch y'all up on, what we've been doing over the last, 9 months or so since I've come on board. And, so I gave y'all a copy, rough copy really of my notes, just so you can kind of keep up, because I do talk kind of fast. Feel free to stop me, ask me questions or anything like that, I assume that's okay. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to do was, just thank you for the chance to make this presentation. And I also wanted to thank you, I haven't had a chance yet, really, to thank you all for, the funds, the appropriation funds request was submitted and you approved it for this fiscal year. And it especially is gonna come in handy because some of our other funding, was unexpectedly reduced. So I'm really grateful, we're all really grateful, for the town coming through for us. And, I wanted to assure you that we're gonna continue to be good stewards of the dollars and of the trust that you place in us. So my door's always open, anybody needs to talk to me. They usually do, I think I've met just about everybody in this room who had something to say. And, so, you know, we're here for you. And, kind of the next point is almost a half page of notes here, but I felt like it might be necessary, at least this once, to clarify my understanding of what a chamber is supposed to do for its community. And so I just outlined this briefly based on some research that I've done because, as I mentioned when I was here before, I never worked on a chamber before. I belong to a couple of chambers, but my background is publishing, marketing, and so I kind of had to dive in and have on-the-job training. And fortunately, I've had some people who were my predecessors that have helped me. But real quick, let's just hit on a few points of what is a chamber of commerce. A typical chamber of commerce in the U.S. serves a local business network and advocacy group, representing small to medium-sized businesses within a specific community, in this case, Sparta and Allegheny County. The chamber's main functions include business advocacy, and that it means that we represent the interests of local businesses to local, state, federal government entities, and advocate for favorable legislation, regulations, and policies. That's one of the things I do with you all and with the county. But we also work on a state and a nationwide level through some of the organizations that we're involved with. We provide networking opportunities, platforms such as events, meetings, mixers, which is a networking type event, where local business owners and professionals can connect, build relationships, and share ideas. Specifically for us, our Allegheny After 5 and ribbon cutting events are examples of this. We offer business support services, training, workshops, mentorship, marketing assistance, and informational materials to help businesses grow and succeed. And we do that for a very low cost, I might add. Our Blue Ridge Business Network, which is the BRBN, and the newly formed Allegheny Small Business Collaborative are examples of this function. The Small Business Collaborative is basically a merchants group. Small businesses in the area have come together and said, how can we work better communication and make everything work in the town for activities, for promotions, for getting the word out about the community and the things that are going on here, and just better organization. The next thing is community engagement. A lot of people, this is the side of that they see from us is we organize community events, promote local businesses, and foster a strong local economy by encouraging residents to shop locally and support area businesses. This includes town parades, trunk and treat event, shop local promotions, our daily member shout outs, and our weekly Monday spotlights. Another thing that we do is information dissemination. We act as a central source of information, sharing news, updates, and opportunities relevant to the local business community, such as grants, incentives, and market trends. Just this last week, I notified 2 of our small businesses in the area about grants that specifically are for them, and they knew nothing about them. So both of those organizations are gonna reach out and try to get those grants approvals. We do this through newsletter, social media posts, and direct contact. And then last but certainly not least, economic development. The chamber supports efforts to attract new business investments to the area, helping to create jobs and boost local economic growth. We typically meet with representatives from the business sector of the North Carolina state government, as well as parties that are interested in starting a business in Allegheny and Sparta. And that doesn't happen every day, but probably every couple weeks. I'm talking with some legislator or with somebody through a realtor that is thinking about starting a business or buy some land and join development here. So we're just trying to help people get the information that they need to make good decisions. So overall, in summary, a small chamber of commerce works to promote a favorable business environment, enhance local economic vitality, and support the success of its community and its members. And I hope that we always do that for y'all. Okay, so now to the specifics for the Allegheny County Chamber of Commerce. First thing on the list is the Visitor Center, and, I'm proud to report really, but it's not anything that we've done. Visitation at the Visitor Center is up about 20 to 30%. I think mostly that's because, based on communication I've had with people who visited, because of Parkway closures. You know, people were being detoured right through town, and when they get to Sparta, they're like, okay, what's the Sparta? You know, what do we do here? Just today, somebody came and asked, well, where do you eat dinner in Sparta on Tuesday night? And that's a tricky question. But I had the answers, up until the point I found out that Craig was actually closed this week. And yeah, I couldn't anticipate that, but, we got him settled in. Another thing that's going on in the visitor center is that the ceiling was leaking on the front of the building whenever, there was a blowing rain. If it just rained down, it didn't leak, it was just blowing. So we felt like it probably has something to do with the wall in the front and the facade up there as much as anything. So we had a company come in, give us an estimate. We submitted, with the help of the town manager at the time, a grant to the TDA, who met that grant, and it's taken about 6 months, but we got that fixed last week. So we're hoping to replace all the ceiling tiles in the front, so it doesn't look like the building's falling down. I came in after one holiday when we had a really bad rain, and we weren't there for 2 days, which is unusual. Usually we're there Saturday and Sunday. But we were closed on Monday, so I came in on Tuesday, and the floor in the foyer was covered in ceiling tiles and water, and it was pretty nasty. And that door is always unlocked to the public, so we were really kind of embarrassed, even though we never met the people, but we sure came in that door. So anyway, that should be fixed, and that work is being guaranteed. So if it does leak some more, we'll get it fixed. I put on here, just for y'all's sake, in case you've heard the rumors, we've had different pieces of equipment breaking in the public restrooms in our building. Everything from soap dispensers, paper towel dispensers, to where the toilet would just flush endlessly and take out the water pressure for all of downtown. And, you guys came through and came down one at a time. We've knocked them all out right now. As far as I know, all 3 bathrooms are functioning perfectly, which might be the first time since I've been there. I mean, I guess I'm a squeaky wheel. If I can see something that can be fixed, why be broken, you know? So I took down all the out of order signs and we got things fixed. And then last but not least, we distribute a lot of visitors packets for people that come through. They want information on venues, on amenities, on restaurants, on lodging, and we distributed over 300 of those, and at events we've given over 500 out. Any questions about the visitor center that I didn't answer? Okay, moving on. I promise you my future reports won't be this long. This is basically catching y'all up on almost a year's worth of effort. And then again, some of it is just clarification so that I make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay, the visitor's guide is out. Actually, I trust most of you have seen it. We did make one major change to the visitor guide this year. We changed it from the Allegheny magazine to the Allegheny and Sparta Visitors Guide. Because we felt like, you know, a good portion of what was in there was Sparta. And people know Sparta. To be honest with you, when I go to these conferences, and I say I'm from Allegheny County, a lot of people look at me, you know, weary-eyed, they don't know what I'm talking about. But if I say Sparta, they immediately know where it is. And that's the case about 9 times out of 10. So our visitor's guide goes to all the visitor centers at interstate visitor centers and welcome centers throughout the state, and tourism offices and other places like that. Now says Allegheny County and Sparta, North Carolina. And actually most of our advertising, and all of it, also says Allegheny and Sparta. And we want people to immediately have that picture of where they are. Okay, so anyway, I'm not gonna go through all the details of that. The visitor's guide was done. We actually made a little profit this year, which was nice. We put an incentive on the ad sales, and that group, the ladies in the office really came through on that. I was grateful for that. We don't want to have, you know, I don't believe in status quo. If something's not working, you do away with it. A lot of chambers don't have a visitor's guide, only an online guide. But in this area, you know, I've lived in several places here in the mountains. It seems like people still like things that aren't print, published things. and not just online. And I think part of that reason might be is because cell phone service isn't that great, so you wanna have a physical copy of whatever you're looking for. And so we had really good success with that, and we're gonna continue that as long as it's, valid. All right, we also have an online event calendar, and, that's available for anybody who has any kind of events going on in the area. We put that up there and people can just go see. We used to have 2 calendars, and that got a little confusing. Now we just have one, and it's for all the community, for the chamber and for the community. So if you have an event coming up, let us know, we'll get it on there for you. All right, next page. Some of the other things that the chamber does, we promote shop local for the stores, the galleries, and the restaurants. And we highlight opportunities, for certain activities or tie-in with certain holidays like Valentine's Day, Easter, music on main events. As I mentioned, Allegheny After 5 is basically a chance. We do one, at the most 2 of those a month, and it's basically an open house. You know, business can invite people in, they'll have refreshments and entertainment, possibly door prizes, and it's just a chance for people, whether that business is new or been around a long time, it's a chance for people to get in and see the facilities and meet the powers that be. As I mentioned again, the Small Business Collaborative is the ASBC. We formed that, we're helping it function now, and helping it find a purpose. And the very first thing, we felt like what we wanted to do with that the first year was pick one thing and make a success of it. What did the small businesses really want? And I really didn't know what they wanted. Several people approached me and said, hey, we need this. So we had a couple of planning meetings, and then we did it. And one of the first things that kind of came up, and it was almost consensus, was that a lot of times when there's events at the fairgrounds, there's no business downtown that corresponds with that, or maybe only in the restaurants, not in the stores and in the other facilities. So we put the plan together, and we're working with y'all's Allegheny in Motion, and we're gonna create a Sparta shuttle during the ag fair, and it's gonna bring people downtown to parking areas and to several of the business areas in the downtown. And that'll be available all day on their busiest day, which is Saturday. And it's a trial run, we'll see if it works. But the goal, again, is to support our local businesses, so that they're not sitting there twiddling their thumbs while people might be over at the fairgrounds and say, I'm bored, when's the next activity? And it might be a couple hours away. Well, this way they're gonna be able to come into town, eat, shop, meet people, and we hope it works. And in the future, we'll see what other ways that we can collaborate together. But in conjunction with that, I still kind of told the businesses, you know, it's on you to get somebody to come from the sidewalk into the business. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna have a themed approach. This one is, they're calling it the fall crawl. And because the ag fair is kind of harvest time, and they're gonna have, I really don't know what everybody's gonna have, but talk was like candy apples, pumpkin spice, whatever, you know, that's not for me. Some of y'all might like pumpkin spice, but those kind of things, there might be entertainment or music. I don't know what fall music sounds like, but there may be something like that. And the whole idea is to just create a theme that gets people to want to come from the fairgrounds into town, into the facilities. So we'll see how it goes. And that's gonna be, the show's gonna run the entire Saturday, because we feel like if anybody parks downtown and takes it to the fairgrounds, they need to be able to get back. But the store is only gonna be open until 6 p.m. that night. So, anyway, moving on, another thing we've done this year, a lot of, and with my background being in marketing and advertising, is, and publishing, we've done a lot of ads for the county and the town. I've tried to make good use of the monies there. I have a lot of experience in writing articles for magazines, and that's actually worked in our favor, because we've gotten a lot of free ads. A couple of times we've gotten a 2-page or even a 3-page spread, because it was my article, and then it flowed into the advertising. And those advertisements are free for Allegheny County and Sparta. So we've got a lot of bang for our buck with advertising this year. The Mountain Heritage Festival, as I mentioned, is coming up. Our preparations are well underway. I'm actually hoping that everything is well underway there. There was a few things on the checklist that I didn't even see coming, but we're getting it all in place. Probably the most difficult thing was the formal road closure that we had to request through the DOT. That was a a lot of paperwork, and we had to do that in conjunction with the town, with the police department, and submit all the paperwork, and the guy there was new, so he was checking the boxes a lot closer than the people we've worked with in the past, but we got it approved. So we're in good shape there and ready for that event. We've got all the bands, we've got the stage, and as long as everything shows up, and I ordered good weather for the event as well. So you know, you can't predict anything, but we're hoping for the best there. All right, downtown decorations. There's a couple of new things here. One of the things we realized from the last couple of years, we've had issues with the plants downtown. It's not always possible for the town or the chamber to take care of the plants. You know, we all have our other jobs to do, but we want the town to look good. We want decorations to be sharp. And so we talked with the TDA about that, and they actually brought this up. They said, you know, if you can get somebody to do it, you guys purchase the plants, the chamber pays for the plants, and the town was putting them up, that they would pay for somebody to take care of them during the summer, spring, summer, fall. And so we had the equipment that the town was actually using. I realized, or found out that was actually the chamber's equipment. We got that back from the town, we turned it over to this couple, and they're taking care of the flower pots and those on the ground as well. And it's been difficult, I think, this year. We've had two really kind of dry seasons and then a wet season in the middle. And yet they kept them alive. It takes a lot of work. You don't just water plants, you have to feed them from time to time. You have to pull out the dead things. And not every plant in a basket has the same kind of needs as far as sun, water, and the life cycles are shorter and longer. But I think it's a lot better. Last year we had to end up going and buying a whole new set of plants right before the Mountain Heritage Festival because we had a bunch of dead plants in town and it looked really pretty disturbing. So it looks like we've kept that from happening this year. A few things have dried out, but for the most part it looks pretty good. And we're arranging with some of the local places here to have even more decorations out for the Mountain Heritage Festival. And actually in conjunction with that, a lot of the decorations that we're bringing out for the Mountain Heritage Festival will be fall oriented, and they're gonna be left out through the Ag Fair and the fall crawl. So we'll have a couple of weeks there where the place is gonna look great, be a place you'd be proud to be part of. All right, another thing that we did with the decorations is, I shouldn't say we did this, although I met with this group. There's a group that wants to come forward and they wanna, to start with Christmas, but kind of create a decorating committee. And work in conjunction with the chamber, obviously under the oversight of the town, but to minimize the impact on the town and the town management and town employees, to kind of make sure that the place looks great at Christmas from Thanksgiving on through the holidays. And looking forward to seeing how that takes shape. Obviously, they'll communicate with us at the chamber office, and we'll communicate with you all. You know, nothing's gonna be extreme, it's just gonna be nice Christmas decorations. Mike has given me the remote control for the lights downtown, and found out as soon as I started to use it why he gave those to me. It took me an hour just to get a block and a half turned on for the football game the other night. We wanted them to be green and gold, and it was a mess. I was telling these guys earlier that you'd be over here pointing at one of the remotes, and these lights back over here are coming on and off. So if you see me out there, I know you're gonna make fun, but we're gonna do our best to get the ones that don't work any longer fixed, and just, again, make this a place that you can be proud of to have your guests, your family here. Another new thing that the town doesn't really have to worry about at all, but we kind of designed, pencil sketched a collapsible Christmas tree holder for a very large Christmas tree that's gonna be implanted in the yard at the fair, or at the courthouse lawn. And I got that approved through the county, and I guess it'll be buried about 1.5 to 2 foot deep. And it's just gonna be a lever that will be down most of the year. And part of the year to come up, drop the tree in there, and only require a few cables instead of 15, cables to hold the tree in place. Because that is a wind tunnel right there by the courthouse lawn. So we're hoping that we can have a large Christmas tree every year, and it'd be fairly easy to put in place. And we'll work on the ornaments. Last year you probably noticed ornaments all down the street, and so we probably won't go in that same direction this year. Again, because of the strong winds through there. I'm kind of excited about the downtown decorations. My brother lived for years in a town called Rochester Hills in Michigan, and every building in the whole town had streamer lights on it and decorated, and people come from miles around just to see that. And when you talk about bringing an influx of money into the community, it was amazing. And I don't see us ever going to that extent, but again, let's make it look beautiful, let's keep it clean, and be a place we can be proud of. All right, another thing that the chamber does, parades and trunk or treat. I'm proud to say that after, committees are, after about 3 months, we developed a new set of rules and a waiver for the parades so that we could kind of preclude some of the behavior that was going on in the parades, especially the dangerous behavior. And now every single entry into the parades has to read and sign that waiver. And we keep the signature part of it, it tears off. And we used, we did it the 4th of July, and it was, for the most part, successful. It did come to our attention that a few people violated those rules, but hey, it's out there. We're making sure that we're covered, the town is covered, should anything happen. And there's always gonna be rebels, but we're gonna do our best to make sure that it's a safe and family-friendly environment for our parades. So with that in mind, we'll look at those rules again as the Christmas parade comes up and make sure that it's still, everything's applicable there. Another thing we did this year, just recently really, we helped arrange and promote the Sparta Centennial Celebration, working with Scott, the interim town manager, and the mayor and some of the town office. And I just thought that was a great event. We couldn't control the weather, but it was neat to see. I know we kind of have 2 birthdays here in Sparta, but hey, that's okay, isn't it? I mean, do we get cake twice a year? But it was a good event. It was neat to see everybody work together, and it was especially great to be recognized by many of our dignitaries and politicians in Raleigh and even in DC. And some of that stuff still coming into us. I was proud to be part of that. The trunk or treat is coming up next month. It's hard to believe it's almost October. We're hoping that can come off again. We want to have it on Main Street if that's possible. And just looking forward to that. That'll be my first one. And somebody suggested today that I dress up, cut off flannels, and be Larry the Chamber Guy. I don't care who you are, that's fun. So I might have to do that, we'll see. Small Business Saturday is always a big thing for us to promote, and shopping local. We don't have every kind of store and every kind of item you might need in our stores, but hey, we got a lot more than a lot of our locals realize. If we can just get everybody out to see the stores and shop, and you'll find that, at least I found, that a lot of the gifts and things that I buy, whether it's birthdays or Christmas, are a lot more appreciated when they're at a small town flavor. So we will continue to promote that heavily in our area and the surrounding areas. And anyway, I want to say thank you to the town council members who have attended and participated in these events in the past. All right, there's a lot of information here on what we're doing in marketing efforts. I'm not going to read all this, and I know you're saying thank you. But we've made some radio appearances. We've taken some of the folks who were over some of the events for the area with us for those radio appearances, and I think they've been successful, and that's helped. We've done a lot of magazine advertising. We got a special deal on a 2-page spread in Our State magazine this year, and that was really exciting. I think it came out really wonderful, and again, it was promoting Allegheny County and Sparta. Blue Ridge Digest is one where we get a better rate on the ad because I write an article for them, and of course, the article is about Allegheny County, and both Blue Ridge Mountains and so on. Carolina Country, we didn't actually pay them anything. They wanted to do a feature, basically the theme, I think it was last month, on the communities along the Blue Ridge Parkway that were being impacted by the closures of the parkway. And so they asked us for some materials and some information, and we provided that, and we really got a lot of free press on that one as well. We've done some co-op advertising with Charlotte Magazine, Allegheny River Guide, Twin County Visitors Guide over in Virginia. And we've got a full-page ad in the Blue Ridge Music Center's annual magazine, and in trade for a full-page ad in our Visitors Guide. So that worked out really well, because their magazine, the ad placement is twice as expensive as ours. So we got a really good deal there. And starting this year, we're gonna be in the Blue Ridge Parkway map. You all seen that map of the parkway that folds out? And along the side, it has that about different articles about gateway communities. We weren't in that. And it frustrated me, like, Mount Airy was in that. Why were they in that? You know, we're up against the Blue Ridge Parkway. So, worked out a deal with the Blue Ridge Parkway Association, and, we're gonna continue to try to have a presence there. You know that, not everybody knows this, but we have the longest stretch of the parkway of any county in North Carolina and Virginia. We have 32 miles of Blue Ridge Parkway. And then, last but not least, we just now, if you're familiar with, the Hillsville Flea Market, which is one of the biggest flea markets in the world, they contacted me to see if we wanted to advertise on Mountain Heritage Festival. And I was just like, yeah, that's probably a good fit. And it turned out they didn't have an ad for the back cover yet. So we got it for half price. And I mean, that's like a niche dream, because you got people coming to a flea market and a festival and then reading all about ours. So that was last weekend, or this past weekend. I don't know if you've all seen PBS did a commercial, basically, for Allegheny County and Sparta. And it tied in with a lot of our print advertisement. But we had some video B-roll, and I did some searches with a couple of companies that had been to Sparta. And I got them to send me all that B-roll. And that commercial has been running on PBS NC now for about 4 months. So I don't know if you had a chance to see that. If not, I can get y'all a link to that. But it's pretty neat. 15 seconds is not a lot of time, but still, immediately you see people and places that you know on national TV, so it's pretty nice. There's in here. In conjunction with that, PBS has included us in some email and website ads that feature Sparta and Allegheny County, specifically the Fried Apple Pie Festival, Fiber Fest, Music on Main, 4th of July Parade, and this month we've been featuring Mountain Heritage Festival. And actually, if you all get the PBS newsletter, the Mountain Heritage Festival was the banner across the email that just went out. We also worked with Visit NC, and this was actually in place before I got here. And they just contacted me and said, hey, by the way, you guys have paid for all this marketing, you wanna use it? And I was like, well, why not? So, we've done a lot of advertisement with them. Again, it was already paid for from last fiscal year with websites featuring our events and with emails and things like that. And we also got some video and photography shot. You may have seen us at one. There was one day we were all over downtown Sparta and throughout the county, and a couple people led us on their land to shoot drone footage and some stills of the county. And so we're going to continue to see that. And again, that was all paid for last year. We took advantage of that. Let's see. And then ourselves, we have a pretty good following on our newsletter and our social media. We've been advertising heavily the last 6 weeks or so, the Mountain Heritage Festival. And in conjunction with that, we'll visit Sparta NC's Facebook page as well. I'm wrapping up now. A couple other things. We have new event wrap cards. We did a spring and summer edition, and then a summer and fall edition, and they've been very popular. Actually, they've been the second most picked up thing in our visitor center, besides the guide, is the wrap card. Is just, we tried to, you'd be shocked at how many things are going on in this town, in this county. And we couldn't fit it all on there, so we did 2, and even then that wasn't enough. But we put all the major events on there, and we think it came up pretty nice, and it's been very popular. A lot of the stores haven't, you can still pick them up, and they're absolutely free, just so you know where, who, what, where, and when, and events in Allegheny County, Sparta. And then we belong to a co-op, it's kind of an organization, it's a joint organization of chambers in High Country, called High Country Hosts, and because of that, we get co-op deals basically on advertising in print magazines and on billboards. And we featured in June and July, which seemed appropriate, a really large digital billboard that was a picture of Allegheny County on the parkway there, and it said "Cool, Quiet, and Close." Allegheny County in Sparta, North Carolina. And we did some research, and it turns out that maybe in conjunction with the billboards, but some of the other advertising, that our biggest visitation now is from Charlotte rather than Greensboro and Winston-Salem. So it was good bang for our buck. Believe it or not, those ads, those billboards were less than $300 a piece per month. So again, good use of your funds and our stewardship. And then right now we got a billboard going on for the Mountain Heritage Festival in Charlotte, and it's a celebration of craft and music, which is the theme or tagline for the Mountain Heritage Festival. Just wrapping up, I've listed here the conferences that I've gone to. Several of them have been funded by the TDA because they're tourism related, and we're just trying to learn our job better and to see what we can do to help the economy here in Allegheny County. And I'll also give you a list of the community involvement that the chamber has with the Wellness Coalition, high school, CTE, the Small Business Collaborative, KLF, Keep Allegheny Litter Free. We do the marketing and fund support for that. So basically, if you want to donate to that nonprofit, you write the check out to us and you put KLF in the check, and we keep those funds for them until they need them, whether it's for signage or anything else. So it's a tax-free donation. It's just in and out for us. We don't do anything with the money. That's about it. Anybody have any other questions? I did include the statistics. Right now, we have just over 300 members in the chamber, which is kind of amazing. I don't know of any other county our size that has over 250 members. So we're excelling, and I think it's because there's just a lot of entrepreneurs in Allegheny County. There's a lot of people, a lot of businesses, but we don't have a high population. So we do rely a lot on outside support, financially, visitors, tourists, our own guests, our own personal guests. When I have my family come into town, I don't consider them tourists, you know, they're guests. And they're important to the economy here as well. So I just, like I said, anybody else have any questions about the chamber?
How many days do you have as your office staffed a week? Is it, or did you say it was open on Saturdays and Sundays? Or just the front door?
It's open on Saturdays from May through middle of December. But we have 2.5 staff, Beth Phillips being half. But then there's myself and Stephanie Simmons is the office manager, membership coordinator. So it's a lot of work for 2 people, but we do like the events. We have 4 times the volunteers we have staff. We rely heavily on volunteers.
Well, we appreciate everything that the chamber's doing. I don't know, I don't see how you do it. I'm sure that you would probably like to have some volunteers to help on different projects. But it sounds like you've been very busy and you're doing a great job.
Well, I'm trying to learn.
Number 6, Allegheny, Sparta Allegheny Walkability Committee, Carla Long, Forrest Gordon.
Thank you for having us again. We were here a couple of months ago where we presented the update on the walk audit that we did. And it's been very active since that time, so we wanted to try to give an update and let you know what is going on. Just as a little bit of a brief recap, the walk audit that we did was to assess the general accessibility of walking within the town limits, as well as identifying barriers to safe walking, and then to make recommendations to improve the walking conditions. Specific goals were to look at connecting the 3 parks, Veterans Park, Price Park, and Stan Brown Park, as well as providing to some of the other, major community resources, such as Allegheny Health, the library, the schools, Allegheny Cares, Food Closet, and others. So those are the things that we were looking at. As a result of the audit, we came up with 32 recommendations, and ranked them in what we called it relatively easy, moderate, and more extensive types of things. Some examples of the easy were like repainting crosswalks, and some signage and that type of thing. More moderate things was additional lighting, warning signs, and then, more extensive could be actually new, walking paths, or multi-use trails within the town on there. And we did have a special focus on ADA compliance, and looking at these recommendations. So, what's happened since then? First of all, the full report's been done. This is the written report. It's down here, and there is a copy in the town office. There's a copy at the chambers and various places around town, to look at that. It is also online. It's online at the, Allegheny Sparta Trail Association website, where you can view it there. So they're available both written and, online. We did meet with the district engineer, the assistant district engineer, and local representative for DOT, and we actually re-walked most of the road and then drove the rest of it that we had done on the walk audit day to let them know. As it turns out, of the 32 recommendations, about 12 of them involved, DOT streets. So we went around and we looked at these, a majority of those were repainting crosswalks, like on Main Street, on Grayson, and some other areas there. And also, as we were walking, we noticed that the pedestrian sign that was on, Highway 18 and Grayson Street, was not working. You could press the button, it would beep, but it was no lights or anything. So they're addressing that. And one of the other things that we requested that they take a look at was coming from the north on Highway 18. When you come around the curve there towards Grayson Street, the pedestrian walkway comes up really fast, coming through there. So they're taking a look at potentially putting in a warning sign or pedestrian crosswalk ahead type of sign there that would notify people there. Interestingly enough, they have approved all of those items. So they will be repainting the crosswalks that are on the DOT streets. It's on their schedule. We don't have the exact timeline yet, but they did say within a month or so. And they are gonna repair the sign at the crosswalk. One other thing that happened is at the crosswalk there on Grayson and Highway 18, there is the sign there with what will be a flashing light on there, but there's no crosswalk there. So they're gonna paint a new crosswalk there for pedestrians there too, on that. One big focus that we looked at was on Grayson at, coming around Price Park, because that's such a heavily traveled area, both for vehicles and people walking and even bikes and that type of thing. So one of the recommendations that they made was to do a crosswalk on Grayson, going into where there's a ramp area, and Carmen's gonna talk a little bit more about that in just a minute, on that. And so that the crosswalk would allow for safe crossing there into Price Park for that. We also met last week with the town manager and staff with the town, and we went over all of these items with them, as well as a few items that would be impacting some of the town streets. And again, we'll be talking to that in just a minute for that. And lastly, we've been researching additional sources of income to fund all of this, with our goal being that we spend no town, county money, that it ought to be funded through grants, donations, and gifts of that kind. And we've already had people that have approached us about donations. We've had organizations that have also. So, a little bit about some of the things that are very specific to the town streets, and
Mr. Carmel.
So we went out and took some pictures so you could have more of a visual as to what we were talking about. So the first picture on my left is actually Cox Street and Downton Street. There's nice sidewalks that have been done on Downton Street, but there's not a crosswalk connecting those two. So that was the recommendation on that one. The middle picture is Grayson Street, yes, thanks, and Downton Street. And once again, there's sidewalks on both sides of the street, but there's not a crosswalk connecting those, and that would be kind of the way that people would get into Krause Park. So we would recommend a crosswalk being put there. And then, let's look at the picture here. Yeah, I think that's all that's on that one, that's just another picture of that. This is actually the ramp that goes into Krause Park. And you can see there's a pretty steep curve there. It would be very, dangerous if somebody was trying to ride a bike up that, or if you were, pushing a baby stroller or wheelchair or anything, and there's no actual crosswalk to go from Grayson Street across Grayson Street from the sidewalk to that ramp going into the park. So DOT has actually said that they will take care of building that ramp, that they would come in, restructure that area, but we do need a letter from the town saying that that would be an okay thing for them to do. The only thing that they said was the little fence that's there, they might have to take down a section or two of that, and they wouldn't put the fence back up, so we would need to do something or a railing or fence wise, but, we went and checked it out, and it looked like it might be kind of time to do something.
New fence, maybe?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, there were nails sticking out of it, and it was looking pretty dangerous. So that was an area that we, thought would be a good improvement as well. This next suggestion, we have people that are walking from the community college, the library, the high school, either to town or to Krause Park, and there's not a real good way to do that. So the suggestion, instead of having them come down Grayson Street, where there really is not much of a sidewalk, it's curvy, people are traveling a little too fast probably anyway, if we took Cox Street and made that be kind of the crossover to get to the other part of town. It's a fairly wide street, but it would be helpful if there was some sort of markings as kind of a walking route to let people know that this is the safe way to get to that sidewalk on Downton Street, that you could either go up the hill and go into town, or go down the hill and go to Krause Park. So that was a recommendation as far as just making it be a little bit safer to get people where they're going. And then, the last thing that we had, the sidewalk on Grayson Street no longer has a curve. We've been fortunate to have that street repaved lots of times, and so it's now level with the sidewalk. And there's a line showing where the sidewalk and the street are separated, but it's not very distinguishable as far as if somebody was driving down through there, they might be more likely to maybe not stay quite on their lane. So one of the ideas that we've seen some of the other towns do is actually to paint the sidewalk to make it show up a little bit more. And if you wanna flip to that next page, there's some ideas of how they've done that. Some places have used stencils, some places have just been very creative, some they've just done a solid color. It would not only be safer, it would also enhance the area of Krause Park. It kind of goes along with the murals and things that are already there. And it would be a way to get our schools involved if we got some kids who would be willing to, supervision, to be involved in that project. So that's just an idea that would be something a little bit different to maybe make that area of the park stand out as well as be a little bit safer. And so, what is needed? We would like the town to approve those two crosswalks, the ramp that DOT is going to build into Krause Park, the walking area along Cox Street to include the new crosswalks, and then painting the sidewalk next to Krause Park on Grayson Street. So, any questions, ideas, suggestions? We've looked at several different funding sources, so we really don't think any of this would cost money, from you. But would be a way just to improve our community, make things safer and nicer for all of us to have a more walkable area.
Carmen, one thing, and I certainly understand, we've had discussions about Grayson Street down from, Business Development Center, West Community College, and the high school folks. But Cox Street is where the EMS and the fire department goes in. So that's just something you can factor into your deliberations or your thoughts, but that is where those emergency vehicles go in and out of pretty regular. Well, the EMS goes out quite a lot, so. Just all of that, as you mentioned, that street is pretty quiet most of the time, but then sometimes it gets
It's not,
hectic.
one thought, we would definitely want people to be aware that those, agencies are located there. I think a lot of times they do have sirens or more noise when they're coming out. People could maybe get out the road a little bit more than a car coming down the street that they would maybe be paying attention to. It's just a wider street, and even if we did it along, in the grass area along through there, that might be a possibility too. We're just trying to maybe think outside the box a little bit and come up with some suggestions.
And good suggestions, but that just comes from mind, because they do come out there pretty fast.
And we wanted to, so.
Well, and we want them to come out there fast.
On the crosswalks, are we talking just painting the pavement, or are we talking about putting signs up like it's on 18? Or is it just gonna be simply painting?
Stripes.
And on the ramp going down into Krause Park, the sidewalk on the other side of that, is there access off of the sidewalk onto the road to the ramp where the
It's
crosswalk would be,
flat.
or is it flat?
It's fine.
There's no curbing on
There's
that
no
one?
curbing, no.
Okay.
It's
And DOT was willing to build the entire ramp, ADA compliant?
we really were excited when we met with DOT. They were very receptive to the ideas that we had and offered suggestions, and we really couldn't believe what a good day it was. And they were just very responsive.
Well, it's their streets. It's their streets.
It is their street.
ADA applies to them, us as well.
Well, and they were in complete shock when they didn't, when there wasn't a crosswalk.
They've never been up that street before. I didn't say that. Strike that.
Maybe they hadn't been.
Well, you know,
walking on it.
and these guys perhaps hadn't been.
Yes.
You know, so you got the people here that need to see the things.
We were pleased.
Council, I just wanna point out one thing, because you asked the question, they're gonna redo the whole the sidewalk, the ramp with being ADA compliant. They're not going to rebuild the railing, so we would have to go to the Krause Park Committee and talk to them about moving the railing. They'll take the railing down, the current fence down, and it'll be up to the Krause Park Committee in the town to find an appropriate railing to replace that section.
I think I also met there with the town maintenance crew. There's some trees along that area, and especially that old dead pine tree right there where that ramp is. We're gonna take that down, definitely. And, maybe another tree down through there, so. Get the tree down, and we may have to just redo the whole ramp, and we'll put us up in the fence.
Miss Long, I got something about the crosswalk.
Okay.
They do need to be painted bad. But I've noticed, and I am guilty myself, of driving up downtown and these people standing there at them walks to cross. And nobody stops. So you go back to the light, that might be a good idea, wherever you got them, to put some kind of light up at every one of them. Because I'm guilty myself, I done it today. People were standing there But the lines are gone and all you see is just a yellow sign saying crosswalk. Maybe if something's obliquing, that would get somebody's attention. But, I've noticed that a lot, really and truly.
And I think there is an opportunity for some community education as far as, you know, we are expected when the people are standing in the crosswalk to let people go and, you know, thinking about just being safe when you're walking, you know, which side of the street do you walk on, and paying attention to cars and those kinds of things. So there's a lot of opportunities for pedestrians as well as our drivers to.
I just think a lot of people just don't recognize it, especially these people out of town. Like I said, I recognized it after I done got by. But, this is something really that I've thought about a long time, because, we got a lot of people, like I say, coming in here now, and if people here in their own town can't do it, we don't expect people from out of town to pay attention to them either.
I don't know if it's where you can, but, you know, lots of times you'll see a sign up there that says pedestrian crossing. I don't know if there's situated where we can put a sign right
She
there.
mentioned that.
Couldn't you put some kind of blinking thing?
And that's what we've asked them to do on 18,
The
as
same
they're
thing,
coming
down
up.
21.
So, I mean, we can ask.
I will say, they were very receptive. We didn't really question anything, said they would support.
Well, now, just to be honest with you, I've seen people standing out over here at the bank and standing there at that thing, and cars go by, and these people getting irritated. I mean, actually, you can tell they're irritated. You're supposed to be stopping and letting me go by here. But, like I said, I think a lot of people don't see it, or don't, like Mike said, it just don't pay much attention to
They're in
it.
their own
That might be
world.
something to think about.
So this is something we need to vote on tonight?
Yeah, so we'll need a vote in order to write a letter of approval for them to take the DOT so they can get the crosswalks and the sidewalks painted.
So moved.
I'll send that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0, that sounds good. Thank you,
We
Carla.
really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you for what y'all done. Okay, item number 7, board appointments, planning board and board of adjustment. Anything to say about that?
No, sir, at this point in time, it's, to the council, if you want.
Mayor Pro Tem, I make a motion to appoint David Brooks for the planning board. We have to do these one at a time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes, that's correct.
So I make that motion. I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 4-1. Okay, got the board of adjustment.
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I don't know if this was made, you all were made aware of this, but one of our board of adjustment members moved out of town. And he has resigned, so there's actually 2 seats there. So the first one that I would make a motion on that board of adjustment would be Mr. Wayne Sparks. So that first seat, I'll make a motion that we appoint Wayne Sparks for one of those seats.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 2, 3, 3, 4, 1. And who's the other one?
You had mentioned, last month, maybe Smith, were
Hey,
you gonna have to mention it again?
well, I could nominate Debbie Smith, for the other Board of Adjustment.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay, that took care of that. We got David Brooks, Wayne Sparks, and Debbie Smith. So we'll try to get some contact numbers where you can contact them and tell them the good news.
Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to suggest, being we've got these new members that are coming on these boards, that they, receive some training, on their new board appointments.
Okay.
Maybe they could get with Peggy or the town manager for some, league municipalities training or,
Probably need to get, probably need to get them hooked up with Mary there too, where she can, tell what they can, cannot do.
But I think he's got a valid point. The league, I'm sure, provides that sort of training. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to have that for all the members perhaps, if they choose to.
even if it's online training.
Right, right. So they're not,
Okay.
let them know what's expected of them.
Maybe can you
Yes,
work that in your schedule?
yes, I can.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I guess we need to vote on that, but that sounded good.
Consensus.
Okay, number 8, Allegheny Arts Council and Chamber of Commerce invoices.
Mayor Pro Tem, at this point in time, it's just up for discussion, and it's up to the council. You have in your packet, the invoices, up for discussion if you want to discuss, or if you want to table, it's dependent on the council if we send these invoices or exactly invoices.
So I have a question, I'm sitting here looking at these dates, and I did get the copy of the ordinance and have looked through that. Best I could tell, the ordinance was put in 21. And these entities have not received the bill,
I have received them,
okay?
yeah, we went ahead and billed them, but it's up to council now. This is the Arts Council, came before you all last week.
Mhm. I'm asking before these bills, have they ever been billed before these?
Oh, no, no.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the legal question would be, what's the point in having an ordinance?
We should enforce it. If we have an ordinance and it's something that's voted on, it needs to be enforced against everyone, not just some people. So if we have that ordinance in place, which we do, and in my opinion, then we need to send them the bills. If we want to make some sort of special exception for anyone, then that needs to be something that's voted on and put into our body of law.
We'd have to amend the ordinance.
Yes, we were wanting to make exceptions for people.
Does the ordinance not say that the town manager has the, ability to bill or not bill?
If you give me just a moment, I'll read it.
I'm pretty sure it does.
Of course, we advised him to do. So if you want to do what you know.
I'm just, the way the ordinance reads, that the town manager has the ability to either bill, for a certain activity or not. now just for me, if we're gonna start discussing it, if we've not billed for 3 years leading up to this, and I've got several problems with the way we do this. One, if we've not billed for 3 years leading up to this, I don't see how in good faith we can bill them, now without giving them notice that, okay, this is the year we're gonna start following our ordinance.
I think that's.
I think without prior knowledge to the beginning of their fiscal year, that if we don't notify them and say, okay, this year we're gonna bill, we're gonna follow our ordinance this year. I think if we just spring it on them, I don't think that's being a good community partner with the organization. The other thing I have a little bit of an issue with is there's no application process. I think if there's an application process, if the way the ordinance is written, and there are certain steps that each organization has to go through in order to apply to have an activity in the town. Unless they go back and read the ordinance, or just go by the word, by coming in and having to say, Mr. Town Manager, what do I need to do to have this? Why do we not have a written application for these folks to come in and fill out? And then, if we do have that written application, we can have on there, as part of that application, that follows the ordinance to say, these are the potential charges, so that they would know beforehand as they filled out the application, rather than just receiving a bill.
And I believe there had been a previous meeting in which, and you may be able to speak to this better, Mr. Clear, but there had been a previous meeting when it was discussed that you guys were going to follow the ordinance, and it was put on record. And I believe that happened, and the art council folks were here for that. Not saying that they're not a worthwhile cause, not saying they aren't doing something great for us as a community, but I think that we need to be fair across the board to everybody and treat everybody the same. And if we want to do some sort of exceptions or have some sort of modification of the rules, then we need to establish that and follow that for everybody and treat everybody the same.
I agree with that statement, but my only issue with that is, I'm sure that when we enacted this council, before me enacted this ordinance, I'm sure that the council all agreed, or else we wouldn't have the ordinance, and I'm sure that there were representatives in the room from the Arts Council and the Chamber and whomever else this would affect. But we didn't follow the ordinance for 3 years, and then we just send out the bills. I'm just saying, we're not a good community partner operating that way. I just think that we should have either given them notice, or at least, once we sent the bills out, said, okay, it's an oversight on our part from this point forward, maybe. But I just don't think the way that we handle this is appropriate, in my opinion.
I agree with you there. To my knowledge, we've never charged that. I mean, what we're doing is we're asking people that volunteer for music on Main, the parades, the trunk or treat, the Christmas parade. We're bringing in people in the Sparta there, and they're spending money, and we get tax revenue from that to help fund the town of Sparta. So we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So how we need to do it, we need to amend the ordinance and waive these special events like that helps bring people in the town.
I kinda think the same way Fern does too. I don't think if we're gonna charge them money, they should have been doing it, the year that they took it out. And, that's like Mike says, I don't like that idea of throwing it on them and then giving them money and then turn around and take money back. But I believe whatever way we need to do it, we need to try to do it and fix this, because I agree with Mr. Polier, they bring in a lot of stuff to do, and I don't like to be an Indian giver, I don't like to give money back.
What was the original intent of the ordinance? I wasn't on the council at that time.
Tell the truth, Mayor, I don't remember why it was brought up.
Mayor Pro Tem, would you like me to speak to that?
Go ahead.
The reason that the ordinance was passed was because in 2021,
Can you speak louder, please?
the reason that the ordinance was passed in 2021, the musical unnamed folks came to us and they wanted to have a wine and beer garden on the street as part of the musical unnamed. Now, that presented a problem because our ordinances expressly and specifically prohibit open containers on any street, sidewalk, public grounds, the park, anywhere, school grounds, sporting events, no open containers. So at that point, the manager pulled up this ordinance and it was passed quickly in order for that beer and wine garden to be permitted that year. And that's the reason that it was enacted. Now, why it wasn't enforced in those ensuing years was because at the time, nobody saw the need to enforce it, apparently. We looked at a lot of things during our budget process. Our police budget increased by $250,000 this year, and we're very happy to spend that money. One of our major functions, as I've said many times, and people get tired of hearing it, but when somebody turns on the water, they want the water to come out. When somebody uses the restroom, they want that water to go away. People want to feel safe and secure in their homes. They want to feel safe and secure operating business here. They want to feel safe and secure, to mention what Carmen and Forrest have been working so hard on. They want to feel safe and secure walking up and down the streets and the sidewalks anytime day or night. So one of our major functions is to have an adequate police force. We do have that. We have one of the best. We have some very dedicated folks, but it does cost money. So as we had our budget workshop, we looked at different things. We talked about the park. Mr. Flair and his committee came together, said we're coming up with a new fee schedule on the park. People have to do an application. Everybody said that's good. So I certainly agree that these folks should be made aware in a formal way that we were going to enforce this ordinance. But we also have to bear in mind that a long ways from not supporting these festivals and these special events, we are paying $92,000 per year on the streetscape note and on that loan. So the taxpayers of the town of Sparta are providing the police protection 365, 24/7. We have provided this wonderful downtown for folks to use for whatever events they may have. We are providing the beautiful park that we have for these events. So it was our discussion at that time that the additional manpower would be just like at the park, when someone has an event at the park. If I have an event at the park, if Mike has an event at the park, if Mr. Smith out here comes in and wants to have an event at the park, we all pay. So that was the logic behind enforcing the ordinance in light of our new budget constraints and our new fiscal responsibility and fiscal prudence. But that's what's That's why the ordinance came about. So I'm totally in agreement that these folks should have been given prior notice. And it should go forward that this will apply to everyone. We appreciate everything everybody's doing, but the town of Sparta is a business. It has to be run like a business. And we have to be very mindful of the taxpayers' money and how it's spent. And that was the approach that we took. So, from my opinion, for what it's worth, certainly, moving forward, everybody needs to be well aware. We need to have an application, just like we do at the park. Say, this is what we do, this is the application, this is what we expect of you. We appreciate all that you're doing, but we have costs incurred. And I think, the chief can speak to that. We have to pay our gentlemen to be here. They have, this was part of an earlier discussion. We have to have them at all these closed streets, as long as the street's closed, because we care about the safety of our citizens first and foremost. Secondly, we have liability. So I think the decision this evening, do we give these folks time to pay the bill, since we didn't notify them ahead of time? We let it go this year, and moving forward, make everybody aware of how this is gonna be, and have that application, there for everybody. So, that's my thoughts. What do you all think?
Other than the Allegheny Arts Council and the Chamber of Commerce, is there anyone else? We shut the streets down,
The crosswalk.
the crosswalk.
Chief can speak to that, cause they use the police department.
We do, like the homecoming parade,
Yeah.
will be there, the trunk or treat, you know, for a
Which is
short time.
hosted by Chamber of Commerce.
Right, okay. Sometimes you'll have, as far as closing the streets goes, you know, that's your main events with Music on Main, Mountain Heritage Festival, parades, which all go back to those two events.
And as far as we know, the Chamber Arts Council, no one's ever been sent a bill before now.
Oh, no. We do have the Catholic Church. The police department are used for different events, like the motorcycle group that comes through town. They are used, but we have never billed anybody for their time. This is the first time.
And usually those events is just quick, you know, we get them through the light and on out of town.
So you'd be looking at really just the chamber, and at this time, the chamber and the arts council, because they are the ones who are having the streets closed. Anybody else you would be looking at?
I think it's a budget conversation. Yes, I do remember having some of those conversations. But I also wasn't aware at that time that we were just throwing this out of the blue. So, I would be willing to make the motion to redact these invoices is come back into effect July 1 of next year, and everyone be on the same page as we're giving monies out and asking for money to be paid back to the town of Sparta.
To clarify, would it make it easier moving forward if we create a fee schedule specifying exactly what the charge is gonna be? And we want to have a list price for them, an application process, like we do for the parks, is that correct?
Is that part of your motion, John?
Yes.
I thought I heard you say it.
Yeah, sounds good.
So at this point, we just need a vote to, eliminate the fees for this year. And again, this is gonna apply for, if we have anybody else that comes up and wants to do an event later on in the year, is that correct?
I think it's pretty well, this year it closes pretty fast. We don't have much else going on, you know, trunk or treat and Christmas parade.
But that gives everybody an opportunity to know,
Yes.
going forward, as we approach the next big season.
You know,
So,
I think maybe next year when it comes budget time, and I've talked to the chief about this right there, that, I need to get closer to my mind, don't I? I've talked to the chief about this there, you know, to kind of keep up with it there this year, and we may just add that to the budget. the police budget.
He's kept up with it as per these invoices.
Okay. And we, when it comes budget time, it might be added in on that. And it might be partially coming from the organization also. So,
And if we're not going to use this ordinance, we need to get rid of it or
We're
amend
using
it or do
Ma'am,
something.
we're using it. It's a good ordinance, very comprehensive. So we're waiting for a second for,
I second.
Mr. Green's motion, and a second. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have just one other thing. In reading that ordinance, part of it, it talks about collaboration between the town manager, the chief of police, maybe the head of maintenance, the head of the arts council, the head of the chamber, when these events are scheduled or when they're applied for. To me, I think you could do some things in those meetings, and I think they're important that you have those, where you can look at cost reductions where you're not getting this size bill. I think you can look at, working with the police chief, in some, maybe using some volunteer roles, maybe closing different streets, be responsible for getting all the trash and stuff up, not only off the street, but out of the containers, so that the town maintenance guys don't have to go do that. So that you're not getting a bill that looks like this.
And to your point, that we discussed at the last meeting, this year and last year, I think, when they bought the stage, so the roads have to be closed from 2:30 to 11 o'clock, and that's a huge expense on us, and a huge expense on you all. So in those meetings, if you wanna get your costs down, then you have to live in the reality of what those costs are and those timeframes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I think it's real important to have that collaboration beforehand, and you can help this a lot, I think, by just getting your heads together, and working together. So that's all I have.
What are we gonna do about the amendment? What stay
We
legal?
have a meeting about the amendments and how we want to amend it and do a
You gotta have
proposal
public
and
hearings,
vote on it
takes a long
and
stuff.
do all of that. We don't just
Yeah.
amend it, it needs to be looked at and things.
You got all that?
Yeah.
So we got a motion on the floor, is that?
Second, if we're discussing it.
Oh, she.
All right, all in favor, raise your hand. All right, 5-0.
Thank you.
Got it. This is for Peggy here, number 9, August tax release.
For the August tax releases, the release amount is $660.88, and for the discoveries of, real value was $2,739, with a collection rate of $10.68. I just need a motion to approve these the discovery and the tax releases for August.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. I bought this, bought me a blog here over there. Talking to Kevin Dow, he kind of takes care of the cemetery clocks and everything, and as far as cemetery is getting down to, I think he told me it was around 70 plots left. And several years ago, the council bought some property adjoining what's across the road there from the cemetery.
Oh, Sunset.
Sunset Street there, and,
2 acres.
bought that property there, and I think I would like to start talking about, maybe looking at a company there that could come, get that timber off of it, and they just have to just sell it or let them have the timber before we take it off. And the grass and put up a hedgerow along Little River Drive to give it time to grow up. So one of these days, we'll have cemetery space.
What is our budget looking like on, from projects that county?
Council, for this item, we cannot use cemetery funds for project, we cannot use the cemetery funds, so this is gonna have to be a general fund project.
So we can't use the
The only thing we can use that money for is maintaining the current cemetery, lawn care, replacing benches that have broken, any sort of, or security purposes of the cemetery itself. But we cannot use it to expand the cemetery. The town would have to pay for that out of general fund money, or you can create a separate fund, build up on that, and then use the money for.
Or we can work with some of our local timber people and tell them that here's your free timber and take the stumps and everything with you.
That would be an option for the council to decide, but, in regards to us having to pay somebody, we're gonna have to go through,
For us to
budget
pay
amendment.
somebody.
So it might be a next year's budget discussion, perhaps, unless we have a play with something. That was inappropriate, way to keep it myself. That was inappropriate, way. Excuse me, strike that.
Could we do it, could we go ahead and let some of the maintenance guys or gals talk to some of the folks that cut timber and see if there's anyone interested in that quality timber?
I guess that be Mr. Buchanan.
That would be a, approval by the council, if you want us to just let somebody come in and cut the timber. I really don't think there's much there that we can make money off of. By the time they brought the machinery in, it's probably gonna wash out.
Right before you to, maybe check with some of the timber people around, see what the possibility that they be interested in just getting timber off. And then, you know, we can work on the other side of it.
We can do that, we just need a vote from the council to allow me to go ahead and start searching companies that come in and get it timber.
I think it's time.
Did you make that motion, Jim?
I will make the motion of, reaching out to some of the local timber guys and seeing if they'd be interested in coming in, cutting the timber, no cost, they can have the timber.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay. Manager's report, now we get to listen to Jose talk here.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So, just a couple things on the manager's report. We just completed our, North Carolina DEQ inspection of the water system. We had no major issues. All the paperwork that they requested, we have sent to them. We are waiting for a few, engineer seals to come back. Those are not, items that are in our office, those are only from the engineer companies themselves, they keep them on file. And DEQ will sometimes ask for those paperwork just to make sure that they have them. But just to reiterate that we are, when they send that to us, we'll be making files and keeping those with us as well, as a part of our upcoming documentation system. Paving project, as you have, probably aware, the paving for the streets in the town of Sparta is complete. McGill and, a McGill representative was up here about 2 weeks ago. We did a walkthrough with, looking for any sort of issues, making a punch list that we're going through. McGill has taken a punch list back to the paving company, and when the paving company calls McGill and lets them know that they have completed the corrections, we will do a final walkthrough to make sure that those corrections are done, and to see if there's any other, defects that we find that we may have missed during the initial punch list.
Can I mention one, while it's on my report? Folks over on, is it Hill Street that goes up behind beside City Limit Tire?
Yes.
Okay, Hill Street from eighteen. I had a resident stop me and say, from Highway eighteen up, it's rough and messy, and then the paving starts on up that, on an uphill street, and wanted to know why that was that way, and I am, amiss and remiss that I didn't go actually look at that, but if you all are, if you, that might be something for you to check on before they get gone.
If I'm correct, I think that's one of the ones that I got a phone call on like my first
Okay.
day.
The same, maybe did I tell that individual to call you for that?
I did check
That might have been the
with,
thing.
I did check with Kevin on that, and, the individual that called gave me her address, some of the street was, I talked to Kevin about it. When McGill came through and they did their assessment of the streets, they send it to get approved, and that street was actually removed by whoever goes after McGill and is in charge. That's gonna be the paving company and their engineers. They go back through to make sure that they're not adding streets that don't need to be paved. Either way, McGill was kind of surprised also that street got removed. They made it, when they came up here for the walkthrough, I asked them about that. They said that it is very common that the paving companies will sometimes remove streets and add streets that they didn't even add in there to begin with. And they have no control over it, but McGill's responsibility is to make sure that they're paving it accordingly and that they're not, attempting to use funds inappropriately and take extra money that they don't need. So, that was actually removed from the list.
So you're on top of that.
Yeah, and we talked about that, so that would be something that if we get more revenue for paving, we would have to add that street back to it and emphasize that that street was not paved on this go around. But as of right now, all the streets that were on the list to be paved have been paved. And anything that has not been paved was not on the list to be paved. So right now, what they're going through is they're looking at what was paved, the manholes that were covered up that have to be dug out, and any of the curbing that needs, the shoulder to be fixed so the cars don't fall off the shoulder of the road.
Have you been up on ballpark?
I rode with McGill, and I'll be honest with you, there were some streets I questioned as well as to why they were not paved, and
Well,
again,
these were driveways, that they didn't pave up in the driveways.
they did pave within driveways?
They did.
Yeah, so there's a limitation to how far they can go into the driveway before it becomes private property. From what McGill said, the contract says they can only pave a small little section to make it smooth transition from the driveway to the road. But there is, once you get so many inches or feet or so past the roadway, they cannot pave any further than that, because that's considered paving private property, which would put us as misuse of funds. We would have to turn back around and pay that money back.
Well, they didn't do no paving on this driveway. I seen they just took a bunch of old pavement up there and threw it in.
If you can give me the address or the driveway that you're referring to, I will see if it's on their punch list. And we can go look at it. Like I said, McGill still has to do one final assessment. And if that needs to be added to it, they will add it at that point.
Actually, they straightened about 3 or 4 up there.
Yeah, if you'll give me that information, I'll pass it along to them.
Yeah.
And also, I'd like to apologize, Jose, Patron is our new town manager. I should have said that before when I said the manager's report right there. He's also a new father, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And we're happy to have you on board.
Thank
He has one more.
How is the
I have,
baby girl?
Huh?
How How is the baby girl?
She's doing pretty good, if I can get her to understand nights and days. I do have, three more things that I need to pass along to you as far as manager's report. We had a water main break, as you are aware, on Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, not this past Wednesday, the week before that. Let me get the exact date for you. It was the 21st. We had a water main break. I'm sure some of you may have got some phone calls as to, several residents not having water. The water was restored by about noon o'clock that day. We have figured out, we've isolated where the break occurred. It occurred at some point in time in the middle of the night. Probably, I think they estimated somewhere around midnight or so, a little after midnight. The water main broke, but it was digging into a wooded area, so where somebody was able to see it unless they were walking around in the woods at 1 o'clock in the morning. And, by the next morning, when the residents of the apartment complex woke up and realized they didn't have water, they started calling in. I think the maintenance department said it was close to 5 o'clock that morning when they got phone calls. About 12:30, 12:40, the water line had been fixed and water had been restored. It did take about 2 days, a day and a half to 2 days for one of the reservoirs to refill back up. But, just so you know, we did have that on the 21st and it got resolved pretty quickly. In your packet, it was a kind of a add-on last minute. It's not up for discussion right now, but, McGill was here. McGill with, Denochi from the state of North Carolina was here on, they were here last week to discuss the sewer plant. McGill wanted to do a walkthrough of the site itself. And they sent me an email Friday at 4 o'clock, which is well after the time we had, completed the agendas and were sent to you. But I wanted you to have this, you can think about it. They're gonna be here in October for a meeting. And I want you to pay close attention to the third paragraph down. Well, let's start the second paragraph now. It says, a new treatment basin would be easier to build on the wooded area adjacent to the plant, completely offline. We own the parcel that's beside the current sewer plant. That parcel belongs to the town. Our attorney has reviewed the deed. There's nothing that would prevent us from utilizing that parcel. McGill wanted to utilize that if possible to build a new sewer plant offline, which would eliminate any interruptions, or any interference with the current operations of the current sewer plant. Just to kind of give you a rough estimate, talk to McGill, they're estimating this is gonna be a 24-month project. So this would give them, this may speed it up, faster than 24 months if they can do it offline. The cost is slightly uncertainty in regards to going there to the current site. There is gonna be some extended costs that we're gonna have to look at into the future, such as fencing of the new sewer plant and maintaining of the power line. But that's where the third paragraph comes into play. From cost perspective, both appear to be close enough to say that they are equal in regards to the new site to the old site. Opinion costs have uncertainty, however. There's always the uncertainty with keeping the basins near the existing plant, but there's more certain costs with the farther location, meaning the maintaining of the new structure. The factor is too close for the decision, to be the decision factor for McGill, meaning that at this point in time, McGill is not doesn't see it to be a significant difference from one to the other. So it's gonna be a town preference, whether we want them to build the new sewer plant offline, or whether we want to try to incorporate the construction of the new plant with the old plant. Again, this is just for your knowledge. They'll be here in October with a more detailed timeline of what they want. The one question that they had was moving the discharge drain. That was the big factor, and from what I've gathered in your email, that's not a problem, so they'll be presenting that information to you as well in October.
If you will, sir, and I was, fortunate to be at that meeting on the 28th, if you will, and I, don't wanna put undue pressure, but we can't deal with, from a cost perspective, both appear to be close enough, that's not acceptable on any level. We need exact figures, or as close as they can give us, because when they showed us these alternatives, and you were there, there was significant differences in doing that. So before we can make an informed decision, we need for them to be, much more specific on than to say both appear to be close enough, that's not acceptable.
Okay. I will email McGill back and let them know that for October, they can bring us the, they're not gonna be able to give us exact dollar
No,
amount.
but
they
we
can
need
give us a close
we need
enough
something
amount.
more specific than that very vague statement.
Okay. I'll email McGill and let them know that, information so that they can have it at the October meeting with us. And finally, the last thing in regards to the manager's report, I did receive a phone call from Mr. Don Miller, who is a developer in the community, who's, desiring to develop a, section of the town. Mr. Miller informed me that, he was requesting a six-inch water line, near his, going towards his property that he's attempting to develop at this point in time. We, going back, looking through some information, through some notes, and calling the interim town manager today, and, speaking with him, speaking with our maintenance department. We do not have the funds set aside for this 6-inch water line. There is a 6-inch water line on the opposite end of the road. So if you wanted to tap onto it, he's gonna have to burrow underneath the highway to get to the opposite end to attach a 6-inch water line. When I spoke to Scott today, he stated that he was under the impression that council may be interested in looking at this as economic development. If that's the case, I would need council to provide direction if you want us to look into the projected cost of this, and we would have to add this to the agenda for October, just to kind of, let you know what we're looking at, just talking to the maintenance and water department about this. We're gonna have to get engineers to come in, evaluate what it's gonna cost to go underneath an intersection. And this is gonna be the intersection of 18 and Whitehead Street, is that correct, or 18 and?
It's the bypass.
It's a bypass.
It's the bypass.
Okay, which I know has been in question in regards to redoing that intersection because of some of the incidents that have occurred in the past. So we're gonna have to have an engineer, DOT would have to be involved to make sure that we can do this. We're looking at a next budget year project because this is gonna exceed a significant amount of money. I will, however, advise the council that, if we move forward with this assistance for this developer and other developers come into play in the future and request the same, assistance or request the town pay for this, then we kind of set our precedents as to how we're gonna do this. Again, we'll add that for discussion on October if you want us to start looking at prices, not meaning that we have to do this, but we can go ahead and designate town staff to look into this if council so desires.
I think that would be a good way to go forward, would you all agree?
I think-
It's done quite good, invested
Yeah,
millions in this time,
I think,
that's economic
that's a future, business corridor.
Absolutely.
There. And, we need to look at, I think we may have to get him some water short term, but, eventually I'd like to run a line, a big line all the way up and down to that bypass.
I think it is, it certainly does fall under the auspices of economic development for that reason, that is our business corridor here. So I
will contact, Mr. Miller and have him come, if he wishes to come to the council, to speak to council in regards to what he's wanting. I will direct my staff to look into the cost of how much it will cost us to have engineers come in, assess that, and how much it will cost, equipment itself, which we're not gonna know the full extent of the equipment, pipes and manpower until we have that information in. And that's probably something that we would have to contract out to have somebody else install for us.
And is there a possibility that while you don't have enough things to do, of perhaps getting, some sort of grant? I know, the league, letter came out with different grants that
We
they are.
missed that opportunity, but, for those grants, but we can probably ask the High Country Council, once we get a figure of what we're
Right,
looking
right.
at, might can go to High Country and see what they have options.
Right, so I think that would be good.
Okay, we'll start working on that project with staff.
So give you something to do.
Yeah, we had,
And that is it for the manager's report.
Okay,
so we had,
so,
some add-ons.
yeah, okay, I'm gonna get, Steve getting his first right there. Are we gonna have a pickleball tournament here this year before it's over with? What?
So just real quick, all I'm here for tonight is just to ask, for approval for the second phase of the pickleball courts contract, which Peggy has, and get signed off so that we can complete the courts.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? 5-0.
Thank you.
She's been around for a long time for that show. Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, just real briefly, we had a couple of surprises at the last meeting that were a bit disconcerting. I propose or make the motion that we have, added to our procedures that if anyone wants to add something to the agenda, they need to have that information to the town office on the Monday preceding the meeting on a week later on Tuesday. So, Michelle, does that give you all adequate time to add that to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I've made that motion that henceforth and forevermore, if you don't have it to the town office, then we can't, take things to the last minute, because the council members are sitting here and we don't know what to do. So, that's my motion. I got a second.
I just wanna make sure we got everything in there. We're gonna ask for the, agenda sooner than Friday in this motion.
If you would like, we will, if you would like to add that to my motion, I would be
Is that feasible?
happy for you to add that to my
It's
motion.
feasible, how early do you want?
No, just, I mean, give us a few more days. I mean,
Like
if the cutoff
As I used
Monday,
to-
till we get Wednesday or Thursday,
Thursday?
yeah. I mean, just the extra
Well,
day would be
sometimes
nice.
payroll,
Yes,
and
whatever's easiest. I think it'd be nice.
I will try to get it out on Wednesday. Also, too, at the end of the month, sometimes we don't have all the financials.
Okay.
But I'll get it to you and I can,
You can-
just hand you the financials.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
So
I'll work with it.
I'll add that to my motion that, not only is that our new, deadline for, people to put things on the agenda, ourselves included, that we, will get our package by, preceding Thursday, if at all possible, and that's my motion.
I got a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that, but I also understand there is emergencies.
Right, well, there is, but this, you know, of course, if you all have something that comes up, that's understandable, but we can't have things like we had last month, that we're sitting here going, what are y'all talking about?
Well, we, remember, we can always table, we can make a motion to table something if we're
Oh,
not
that's true.
You're
comfortable
correct.
discussing it or voting on it.
Okay, that's my motion.
All right, all in favor? 5-0, okay. And I think, John, you said something about the agricultural.
I just wanted to mention to the board to see if y'all had any interest. They've asked us if we'd like to come out on Friday night at the fair, which is the horse pull night, and have anything to say as far as the 100-year celebration of Sparta. And I told them that I would pass it along to you all to see if you guys had any interest in being there, speaking Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, that'd be you.
Well, thank you very much. I have talked to Megan, and we talked about having, some kind of, we're gonna set up a tent. And the banner that we had up here in front of the building showing the 100-year celebration, we're gonna leave it, unmanned.
Okay, fair enough.
So, would that be,
Sounds good to me.
Thank you for
I
volunteering.
don't wanna talk. Okay. Okay, at this time, I have, if anybody might have any public comment they'd like to say. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. John Porter, Laurel Springs. Proud business owner here in Sparta. First thing I want to do is I want to thank you guys for rescinding that wonderful bill that we got in the mail. And I want to assure you guys, Howard, Ms. Richardson, that the Arts Council was on adjusting our schedule, adjusting our stage the minute we received that bill. So we pay attention. We're on it, and we're not wasting money. Also, I was here the night you were referring to in regards to council discussion on payments coming up. The discussion was, I believe, a wedding that was gonna be held at the park. I was wearing two hats that night, and I happened to put on my Arts Council hat, and I asked council, well, what was gonna happen with the nonprofits, including the Arts Council? You all looked at me like deer in headlights, and you said to me, we don't know, we'll let you know. And then we got that bill. So that's how that panned out. Just wanted to clear that up, because I happened to be the guy that was listening to what was going down that night. I listened to a gentleman from the chamber and in his presentation, and all the positive indications of all the things that they did that had to do with social media and things that, websites, things like that. And I also hear Ms. Richardson say tonight, Sparta is a business. And I'm here again to ask you guys, please, and I know that you looked into it but voted against it, have your own email, not personal, I don't want a personal email, but you should have an email address that we can contact you. I don't live in town. I don't have a voting voice in town, but I have a business here. And I would like to have a voice other than having to come here and sit for 2 hours until I get up here and talk to you. So please revisit that. Revisit the fact that we're in a technological age. If you're sitting on council, you should know how to use it. I was a teacher. I started teaching when there was none of that stuff. And I spent 45 years trying to keep up with it. So if you sit here on the council and you're my representative, I would appreciate it if I could contact you on email and not have to worry about a phone call or an email message to Ms. Choate. And that in itself is not a really good thing, because if she's not there, the person that runs this town, and there's a new person, how can I know whether that person is gonna vet my calls or my emails? So please keep that in mind, all right? It's a good thing to have things on record. It's not the old days anymore. So I hope you revisit the fact and look into that. And no disrespect, but our letterhead still has Mr. Brady on it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and our new town manager, congratulations, and town council. My name is Brian Reese, and I reside in Sparta, and live at 416 Bald Road. We are full-time. Seems like a lot of people ask me, if you're full-time or are you part-time? We are full-time. And so while the first year that we lived here for about a year and a half, and we've been driving around town and, you know, all the curvy roads and the mountains. It's a little bit shorter time periods because you get car sick, but we've noticed a few things, and I am pleased to say that I didn't know about the walkability audit, and that answered a lot of my questions. But one of the things that I would like to ask the town to consider or to look at, especially since we have a lot of festivals coming in, the fair, etc. I've noticed a lot of the gateways coming into Sparta. I believe we have 4 of them that need a little attention. We've noticed that, you know, it needs painted, needs some repair. More importantly, landscaping is, it's overgrown. I've seen some with weeds so tall I can't even see the sign. So it's something, I'm not sure if it's on a maintenance program, if somebody looks at that from the town on every quarter, but that's something we need to look at because, again, we have so many people coming in on 18, on 21. We all need to be proud of our town. And I know that when we drive in, we see that now, we are very happy that we live in such a beautiful area. The other 2 items, one was answered tonight by the walkability audit, was the crosswalks. I know, we're all downtown walking and I see all the time someone just crossing the street. And for me, when I'm crossing the street, I'm looking for the crosswalks. Well, unfortunately, they're all faded. Now seeing that the DOT's taking that over, that is fantastic, and it's pleasing to see that it's going to be enforced. One of the reasons we moved into Sparta was because of the streetscape. We noticed that the sidewalks are larger, we noticed the lamp poles, and for us, that just shows that Sparta, the town council, is active and lively. But now I'm wondering if we're going to expand those walkways down some of the neighboring streets. I mean, there's a lot of areas where I've walked down to a coffee shop and I'm walking down the middle of the street. I wouldn't think that's something that Sparta, the town of Sparta, would like to see a tourist or a guest or yourself walking down the street to get to a retailer. And I'm sure all of the retail businesses would appreciate for the town to go back and look at that streetscape and see if we can expand now that we're expanding down to the 21 Spa Salon. Beautiful building. How do you get there? You've got to drive. So as we expand, I would encourage the town to start looking at maybe expanding those the streetscapes to make it a better main street. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? I'm glad you're walking a lot better than last time.
Carolyn Pruitt, born, raised, longtime resident. Welcome to our community. We appreciate you being here. Guys, when I read in the paper, our town council had decided to charge for our parades, for our arts council to have their events, for our heritage festival to be on our main street, for us to, that we were gonna be charging because we wanted to be kept safe. Well, I felt pretty safe on these streets for about 40 years during all these events. Before the Arts Council, we've been having that Heritage Festival for years. And I was shocked. I did not even finish the article. To think that you would charge people that were bringing revenue into this community. I pointed this out one time before. Over 30% comes from sales tax. That is our revenue in the town of Sparta. That sales tax comes because we have events, because our arts council, who is all volunteers, they're not paid. our Chamber of Commerce, and we mentioned we need more volunteers, but through the years, that's what we've had, is volunteers on these streets, helping to put on these events. When the TDA brings our cyclists into town, when the Lions Club has events, all these people that come here and they spend money in the restaurants and they spend money in the motels and they spend money in our stores, that's why they're doing it. And to think that we're actually going to charge these people now that are already bringing money into the community. And we have to come and ask for money sometimes to help. And it's very little compared to what these guys raise and what they do for this community. So, as a citizen that pays taxes, I have a problem with it. And a lot of people that I've spoken with it, and I wish they would come and speak up. I don't think they appreciate the fact that these people are gonna be charged. I'm gonna say this. Thank goodness that our police officers stop traffic for our funerals. Are you gonna start charging them? Are you gonna charge the funeral home? Because we bring our officers out to provide respect and safety during those events. And it is an event. So when you start deciding how you're going to charge, think about all the events that take place in this community. It may be a handful of 20 people, 200, 2,000, but whatever the amount, you need to really consider what you're doing when it comes to charging for something that we should already be given quite freely and with heart. Not with somebody having to worry about what it's gonna cost now to bring that safety. Are you kidding me? That word, safety and security, really? That was said tonight, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? We already have that. We shouldn't have to pay extra for it. And if you actually look at what they have charged, I'll say this, what we've used through the years as far as extra protection during these events, I don't think they show it as overtime pay. If I'm not mistaken, I think it might be shown as surplus pay. Then somebody get the numbers and share that with us and tell me how much surplus pay has gone out during these events. And then you discuss what it's really costing to keep us safe and secure during something that these people work for, these volunteers have worked there. Gosh, it is amazing how many hours and how much time they put in for nothing, except to bring something into this community that benefits every one of us. And we talk about keeping the kids here in our community. We don't want to leave and go somewhere else. This is where we start. What are we really doing? What are we showing the youth of our community when we start charging to have an event that was already put on by volunteers? They don't have the money to go out and pay thousands of dollars for something that we should be given to start with. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, number 14, we're gonna go into a closed session. GS 143-318